Romance of Sui and Tang Dynasties, Chapter 65.
The source material opens with this incredibly heavy poem. It doesn't start with trumpets, it starts with a warning. It talks about how extreme situations provoke heaven's jealousy. It compares human life to flowers falling when spring ends.
Yeah.
And then it hits you with this proverb.
One slip causes eternal regret.
Exactly.
And that phrase, it's the thematic anchor for the entire chapter. The source material is placing us in a period of just chaotic transition. The Sui dynasty has collapsed.
The palaces are gone.
Yeah, we aren't dealing with the glory days anymore. We are dealing with the survivors who have scattered north to live among the Turks, or the Tuju.
So let's unpack that situation. We're in the frozen north. You have these former elites of the Sui dynasty, princesses, generals, officials, and they're living in tents.
And the romance in the title makes it sound nice, but the reality described here is just brutal.
It's a grim study in survival and loss.
It is. The text is very specific about the toll this exile takes. It actually lists the casualties just to show you how fragile their existence is. We see characters like Han Juni and Yan Yang passing away.
And the cause given isn't war. It's simply that water and soil do not agree.
Which is such a poetic way of saying the climate shock killed them.
They just couldn't handle the environment.
Exactly. It's a climatization shock.
Yeah.
And it's not just physical. The text highlights the emotional toll. Take Princess Yicheng. Her husband, the Turk leader, dies, and she falls into such a deep depression that she passes away shortly after.
It's like a domino effect of tragedy.
It is. And we can't forget Jiang Tingting, Wang Yi's wife. The text mentions she dies in childbirth. It really feels like the universe, or heaven, as the poem said, is trying to erase the last remnants of the old dynasty.
It's just one hit after another.
But this is where the resilience of the survivors kicks in. Amidst all these funerals, you have a character named Shafuren, or Lady Xia.
Right. She steps up.
She steps up as the matriarch. She isn't just mourning. She's actively restructuring the social order to make sure the group survives.
She's playing matchmaker, but for survival. She sees Wang Yi, who's grieving his wife, and she essentially gives him Xue Yi to be his new wife.
And then she takes a girl named Luo, who is described as educated and polite, maybe a bit older, and marries her to her own son, Zhao Wang.
She's knitting the community back together.
It's a strategic consolidation. If you don't form these bonds, the community just fractures. And speaking of her son, Zhao Wang, there's a massive power shift here.
Because the old Turk leader died without an heir.
Exactly. So Zhao Wangxia, Furen's son, steps right into that vacuum.
He takes the title Zhengtong Khan, which translates to the Orthodox Khan, right?
Yes, and that name is a political statement. Zhengpong implies legitimacy. He's a figure with deep ties to the fallen Sui dynasty, now leading the Turks at Longhu Pass. The text describes him as filial and capable.
So he's trying to establish order.
He wants to be seen not just as a warlord, but as a legitimate ruler.
So you have this pocket of Sui survivors led by this new Orthodox Khan trying to rebuild. But then, and this is where it gets really interesting, the camera zooms in on Empress Xiao.
The former empress of the Sui dynasty.
Yeah, essentially the highest ranking woman in this entire exile camp.
And this segment is, I think, arguably the emotional core of the chapter. It highlights the profound loneliness of a fallen royal.
The scene is set so vividly. She's standing under a green willow tree. It sounds peaceful, but you can feel the isolation. She's just watching the camp life, and she spots a stable boy. His name is Yu Young, and she notices something specific. He looks Chinese. He looks like home.
It's that moment of recognition in a foreign land. She calls him over, probably just wanting to hear a familiar accent. But what follows is this incredible 6 degrees of separation backstory.
Oh, it's amazing.
It turns out Yu Young isn't just some random stable boy.
This guy has the gossip of the century. He tells her he was a soldier for the warlord Wang Shichong, got stranded, and ended up living with a man named Zhao Fengchun.
And then he starts dropping names of people Empress Xiao used to know from the palace. Specifically, he brings up the concubines of Yuan Huaji.
And for context, Yuan Huaji was the man who led the coup against the Sui. These were women from the inner circles of the court.
So Yu Young reveals what happened to them after the fall.
It's like a where are they now special for the Sui court. He says Lady Zhao married him, Yu Young, the stable boy, but died in childbirth.
And Lady Fan and Lady Yang married the guy he was living with, Zhu Fengshun.
But here's the detail that just have. It's perfect. It illustrates the social collapse so well.
The hotel.
Lady Yang is currently running a hotel in Yuan Yangtown.
A former imperial lady running a hotel.
It's fantastic. It shows how completely the world has flipped upside down. The aristocracy is now working service jobs just to survive.
Precisely. And Empress Xiao is incredibly moved by all this. These are connections to her past life, to a world that, effectively no longer exists.
She sees this stable boy, Yu Young, as a living link to her history. She wants to help him.
He's a fellow countryman.
So she tells him, look, I can't talk properly right now during the day. Come back at night and we'll talk. She just wants to hear more news, maybe help him out.
Purely innocent intentions.
To her, yes. But in a court environment, even an exiled one in a tent city, perception is reality.
And someone sees this interaction. They don't hear the conversation about old friends. They see the Empress whispering to a stable boy.
And they run and snitch to the new Khan, Xiao Wang.
Who does not see this as a nostalgic reunion.
Not at all. He immediately suspects a private affair, an illicit relationship. He is furious.
And this part is just brutal.
He doesn't ask questions. He doesn't wait for an explanation. He executes Yu Young immediately.
The poor guy dies just because he had a conversation with the Empress.
It is swift and cruel. And then Xiao Wang turns his anger on Empress Xiao. He scolds her. He lectures her.
Think about the humiliation there. She used to be the Empress. She was the mother of the nation.
And now she's being treated like a misbehaving teenager by her own relative, who's supposed to be her protector.
It creates this deep sense of shame for her. The text says she's shamed by these idle words. It really drives home that theme we started with. One slip, eternal regret.
A simple conversation led to a man's death and her own disgrace. It highlights just how precarious her status really is. She has the title of Empress, but she has no power.
None at all. She is completely at the mercy of the new Khan.
So while this personal tragedy is playing out in the north, we shift gears. The Tang dynasty is on the move.
Yes, the rest of the world hasn't stopped. We have Xiao ordering General Li Rugi to take 1,000 troops and join up with the famous Luo Cheng.
Their mission is to stop the Tuyuhun and Turk forces.
But this isn't just a charge in and kill everyone mission. We have Luo Yi, the Prince of Yan. He's a savvy political operator, and he looks at the intelligence report and says, wait a minute.
His analysis is brilliant.
It is. He points out that the new Khan, Zheng Tum, is the son of Sha Furen, a Sui figure. He knows that Emperor Xiao and Wang Yao, former Sui officials, are there.
So his argument is, these are the old people of the former dynasty.
Basically, don't fight them, just go talk to them. It's a diplomatic mission disguised as a military one.
Which is a very sophisticated way to handle a remnant faction. If you attack, you might unify them against you.
But if you talk, you might find common ground.
So Luo Cheng agrees to go. But he's not going alone. His wife, Du Xianyang, insists on tagging along.
And her reasoning is great. She says, I met Empress Xiao before. She's interesting. And I admire Sha Furen. I want to go see them.
Du Xianyang is a formidable character in her own right.
A warrior, yeah. But what's fascinating here is the family dynamic. The text mentions they bring their children.
Yes, that caught me completely off guard. Luo Cheng's son, Ada, and another son, Ayer, they're both 8 years old.
They're bringing the kids to the battlefield.
It blurs the line between a military campaign and, like, a family road trip. We're going to stop the Turks, pack the snacks for the kids.
But it reinforces the idea that these conflicting sides are deeply intertwined personally. For them, this isn't total war. It's neighborhood politics with spears.
So the Tang team arrives, and on the other side, the Turks are panicking a little bit.
Rightly so. Luo Cheng has a reputation for bravery, and Du Xianyang is famous for being fierce and sharp-tongued.
Xingtong Khan and Sha Furen are worried. They know they're outmatched militarily.
But then Empress Xiao drops a bombshell.
This is the moment that flips the entire script.
She steps up and says, relax. The Tang Emperor, Li Yuan, he's my relative.
The big reveal.
The genealogical web here is dense, but it's the key to the whole chapter. Emperor Xiao explains that Li Yuan's mother, the Taimmu Empress, and Xiao's own mother-in-law, the Sui Empress Dowager, were sisters.
Cousins. The emperor of the new dynasty and the empress of the old dynasty are cousins.
Exactly. So Xiao insists on going out to meet Du Xianyang. She sees this not as a war, but as a meeting of in-laws. She's banking on that blood connection to stop the violence.
But before the talking starts, there is a little bit of action.
Just a little.
Li Rugi, the Tang general, he tries to be a hero. He wants the glory of the vanguard.
And he fails spectacularly. He gets beaten by Wang Yi. It's almost a comic relief moment to show that, Traditional military aggression isn't going to work here.
He's about to get speared in the back by Wang Yi. It looks like it's over for him. But then Du Xianyang to the rescue.
And the description of her archery skill here is just top tier. She doesn't shoot the man.
No.
She shoots an arrow that hits the spearhead itself to deflect the blow.
That is an action movie move right there. Ping! Saved your life.
And it sends a message, I can stop you without killing you. Then we get the duel between the women. Zhu Ye, Wang Yi's wife, comes out with dual swords.
And Du Xianyang has her halberd. They start fighting, but it doesn't last long, does it?
No. About 20 rounds in, amidst the dust and the clashing weapons, they just stop. They start asking questions.
Are you Princess Yang'an? Do you know Empress Xiao?
Imagine this scene. Two armies are watching. Tension is high. And in the middle, the two commanders are basically playing the do you know so-and-so game.
It completely de-escalates the violence. Once they confirm their identities, Du Xianyang confirms who she is, and Zhu Ye mentions the Sui Empress, the fighting spirit just evaporates.
Zhu Ye literally says, okay, I won't kill you then. My Khan is here.
And Du Xianyang laughs and says, I won't capture you either. My husband is here.
And they both just turn around and go back to their lines.
It's incredible. The battle ends not with a surrender, but with a mutual realization that they were all part of the same extended social circle.
It really emphasizes the humanity beneath the history. Okay, let's shift scenes.
Our protagonist on the Tang side is Luo Cheng. In the lore, he's the guy. Young, handsome, incredibly deadly with a spear. And he's not alone. He's got his warrior wife, Du Xianyang, riding right beside him.
A power couple.
An absolute power couple. And they are staring down a fortress held by Zhao Wang. Now, catch us up. Who is Zhao Wang in this context?
So Zhao Wang is a young prince of the Sui dynasty. And the context is crucial here. The Sui dynasty it's effectively dead. The emperor has been assassinated. Zhao Wang is holding this mountain pass. And the intelligence reports say he's helping the foreign Tuyuhun tribes invade Tang territory.
And that's the spark. Luo Cheng rides out, and the text makes it clear he is ready to throw down. He tells his wife, I'll deal with him. He's aggressive. He expects a fight.
But when he actually gets close enough to see Zhao Wang, everything changes.
How so?
Well, the visual storytelling here is so important. Luo Cheng is decked out for war. But Zhao Wang, he rides out wearing a dragon robe with soft wings and a jade belt. The text describes him as having a pale face, like the North Star.
Oh, wow.
It says he looks like a piece of unpolished jade.
Unpolished jade. That's a very specific description. It doesn't exactly scream warlord, does it?
Not at all. It paints a picture of someone refined, almost.
Yeah.
Delicate. It's an imperial presence, not a martial one.
Yeah.
And I think that's the first strategic move. He isn't trying to out-macho Luo Cheng. He's presenting himself as a figure of authority, not a combatant.
And it works. Luo Cheng pauses. He doesn't attack. He just asks the burning question. Why? Why is a Sui prince helping these foreign tribes attack the Tang?
And here is the twist. I think most of us would expect some defiant speech, the Tang destroyed my family, prepare to die.
Right.
But Zhao Wang essentially says, who? Me.
It's the shaggy defense. It wasn't me.
Basically, he explains that the Tuyuhun tribes are just borrowing tiger's might.
I love that idiom, borrowing tiger's might.
It's a great phrase. It means they're using his name and his royal prestige to legitimize their invasion. But he didn't actually send any troops. He's saying, I'm not the general here, I'm the mascot.
Yeah.
And I didn't agree to be the mascot.
Yeah, but I have to push back a little. Is that believable? He's a prince of the fallen dynasty. The Tang are the usurpers. Even if he didn't send troops, shouldn't he want to? Shouldn't he hate Luo Cheng on principle?
That is the logical assumption, right? Revenge is the standard motivator. But Zhao Wang drops a piece of political nuance that is just stunningly mature for a pale-faced youth. He tells Luo Cheng explicitly, the Tang didn't kill my father.
Right. He blames Yuan Huaji, the rebel general who actually assassinated Emperor Yang.
Exactly. He says, the Tang didn't defend my father. And then he says something that really captures the worldview of the time. He says the Qi number makes it so.
Okay, let's unpack that. Qi number. To the modern ear, that sounds like a very technical term. Is he talking about energy levels or something?
In this historical and philosophical context, Qi number refers to destiny, or like the cosmic momentum. He's talking about the mandate of heaven. He is acknowledging that the rise of the Tang and the fall of the Sui isn't just politics, it's the way the universe is flowing. The Sui's time is up. The Tang's time is now.
So he's not just surrendering, he's aligning himself with the universe.
Precisely. If he fights the Tang, he's fighting reality. If he accepts the Qi number, he's acting with wisdom. It's incredibly pragmatic.
So because he accepts this cosmic reality, he doesn't fight Luo Cheng. Instead, he just drops the invite. My mom, Empress Xiao, is inside. Why don't you and your wife come in for a chat?
And just like that, the standoff evaporates. It shifts from a battlefield to a family reunion. Because you have to remember, Luo Cheng is actually related to the Sui royal family by marriage.
Right. So they ride into the city, and this is where the visuals get really wild. I was expecting a fortress under siege, grim faces, rationed food, soldiers sharpening swords.
Yeah.
But the text describes something that sounds like a festival.
It is a total spectacle.
It's booming. The residents are hanging lanterns in colorful silks, shoe brocade, and the shops. Luo Cheng and his wife are riding through, and they are amazed by the stuff on display.
The text mentions camel, lion, and elephant teeth.
Yeah, and antiques. Why is a fortress in a mountain pass filled with elephant teeth and brocade?
Well, it tells us two things. One, Zhao Wang is confident. He's maintained trade routes. He has wealth. He isn't destitute. But two, it's a display of civilization. He is showing Luo Cheng that he isn't some barbarian warlord hiding in a cave. He is a prince governing a prosperous, cultured city.
There's a weird duality in the text here, though, that I want to ask you about. On one hand, Zhao Wang orders 2,000 soldiers to guard the area with bright spears and shining knives. That sounds like a threat. But at the same time, he orders the citizens to hang decorations to welcome the angel.
See, it's not a contradiction. It's a calculated message. The soldiers show he could fight. He has the capacity for violence, but the decorations show he chooses not to. It's speak softly and carry a big stick, 7th century style.
Can we clarify that term angel here? Because I think some listeners might get tripped up. Is he calling Luo Cheng a divine being? A literal angel from heaven?
No, good catch. In this context, an angel is the Tianxi, the envoy of the Son of Heaven, the emperor. By calling Luo Cheng the angel, Zhao Wang is publicly acknowledging the Tang emperor as the legitimate ruler.
Oh, that is huge.
It's the whole ballgame. Before they even sit down to talk, the decorations on the street have already conceded the argument. He is treating Luo Cheng not as an enemy general, but as the representative of the rightful government. It's a masterclass in soft power.
That brings us to the meeting at the Dragon Rise Hall. And I think this is the emotional core of the story. Luo Cheng walks in. He's a relative. Empress Xiao is his aunt, effectively. But he is also walking in holding an imperial decree from the Tang.
He's wearing two hats,
Okay.
and those hats conflict violently.
Empress Xiao, the mother of the fallen dynasty, is there. She has to decide how to receive him. Does she treat him as a nephew or as the representative of the usurpers who took her family's throne?
There is a line here that I think it's one of the saddest in the whole book. She sighs and says, "Initially people bowed to me, now I bow to others."
Oof. Yeah, that hit me too. Country destroyed, family gone.
She acknowledges that the Tang didn't steal the throne directly from her family. Remember, the rebels did that. But the pain of the replacement is still there. She's the dowager empress of a dead empire. She is a living ghost.
And then comes the ritual. This part felt so detailed, almost obsessively so. She doesn't just bow in her everyday clothes.
No, protocol is everything.
Yeah.
You have to understand, in this society, ritual isn't just empty ceremony. It's the framework of reality. To receive a decree, a holy command from the new emperor, she has to be properly dressed. Zhao Wang has to ask the servants to, dig into the trunks to find her old fafu, her ceremonial legal robe.
It's like, wow, it's like having to dust off your old uniform from a company you were fired from just to sign the severance papers.
That is a really good way of putting it. Yeah.
Yes.
She puts on these robes that are distinct from ordinary colors, and she bows to the decree. It is the moment she officially accepts that the Sui are gone and the Tang are the masters.
But Luo Cheng tries to stop her. He sees this elderly woman, his relative, crying, and he says, please, let's skip the formalities. He wants to be a nephew, not an angel.
But Zhao Wang and his general, Wang Yi, they insist. They say, no, we must follow the angel protocol first.
Why? I mean, if the guy with the decree says skip it, why force the issue?
Because they need the legal clarity. If they don't bow, their status remains ambiguous. Are they rebels? Are they independent warlords? By bowing, they formally become subjects of the Tang. It buys them safety. Only after the bowing is done can they switch to family rights.
So the ritual is actually a shield for them.
Precisely. Structure provides safety. You can't just be chill in a dynastic transition. You have to perform the hierarchy so that no one can accuse you of treason later.
Speaking of safety and stability, the scene shifts again. The men handle the decree, the politics are settled, and then the text moves us into the inner chambers with the ladies. And honestly, this felt like a totally different podcast. We go from imperial decree to, gossip.
It feels like gossip, But I would argue this is high-stakes intelligence sharing. This is where the real work of unification happens.
So we have Empress Xiao, Madame Xia, and Luo Cheng's wife, Du Xianyang. And Du Xianyang drops some serious personal stats. She reveals she is exactly 31 years old.
Very precise.
And she has 2 sons, both 8 years old. But wait, how do you have 2 8-year-old sons? That math doesn't work unless they're twins.
She explains it, and this is a massive Easter egg for folklore fans. She says one son was born to her, the other was born to Huang Yulan. They're sworn sisters.
I love that the ladies immediately say, well, where are they? Send a carriage. Really grounds these legendary figures. They aren't just fighting wars, they're managing families.
It creates this circle of women who've all survived the chaos. But the most important part of this conversation, and this gets at the real mechanism of peace, is when they ask about the New Zhen nunnery ladies.
Right. There were 4 noble ladies from the Sui court Jiang, Jia, Luo, and Yuan. Empress Xiao asks if they're okay. I was kind of expecting a tragic answer, oh, they perished in the war, or they're begging on the streets.
Or that they were executed. That would be standard practice in many regime changes. But Du Xianyang gives a surprisingly positive update. She says they are enjoying thick blessings.
Thick blessings. I need to start using that phrase.
It means they're living the good life. But the why is fascinating, and it might sound a little jarring to modern ears. These women were given by the Tang emperor to his top generals.
Yeah, let's be real. That sounds barbaric. Gifting women like trophies, it feels like they're being treated as property.
To us, absolutely. It removes their agency completely. And we shouldn't shy away from that. But if we want to understand the history, we have to look at the political function of this in the 7th century. These were women of high breeding, former nobility, educated in the court. The emperor gave them to his rough-and-tumble generals.
Guys like Cheng Ziji, Wei Zheng, Yu Qijingde.
The heavy hitters of the Tang dynasty. Wei Zheng becomes the most famous chancellor in Chinese history.
So what's the emperor doing here?
He's knitting the social fabric back together. He is legitimizing his generals, who are often former bandits or low-level soldiers, by giving them high-class wives who know court protocol. And at the same time, he is protecting the old nobility by attaching them to the new power structure.
It's a stabilization strategy.
It is the ultimate stabilization strategy. It's human infrastructure. Du Xianyang mentions that the husbands treat them well. She notes that the other families, specifically the Zhu and Qin families, pooled money to buy them land. They aren't just concubines. They are supported, respected members of the new elite.
And the text goes even further. It mentions the next generation.
Right. It mentions that Yan Xian's son is betrothed to Jia Linyun's daughter. They are intermarrying. The children of the old regime and the children of the new regime are becoming one family.
That's how you stop a civil war from flaring up again in 20 years, isn't it?
Exactly. If you isolate the losers, they plot revenge. If you marry them, they become your in-laws. It's hard to declare war on the people raising your grandchildren. This is what we call fusion in historical analysis. The Tang didn't just conquer the Sui. They absorbed them. The Sui dynasty has effectively fallen. It's gone. The Tang is rising.
But the dust hasn't settled.
The dust has not settled. And we are following these characters who are all trying to figure out where they fit in this new world.
So the board's been flipped. The pieces are everywhere. We've got Empress Xiao, the widow of the fallen emperor. She's the old guard.
You've got General Chai Xiao, who's this rising star in the new regime.
Yeah.
And warrior figures like Luo Cheng.
Exactly. And how this source balances the hard history.
The battles, the geography, the killing.
With what you call the soft history, the emotions, the personal transformations, the trauma that just lingers after the fighting stops.
Because usually, history books, they just focus on the winner. But this text, it spends so much time on the people who are just trying to survive.
So let's start with that soft side. And the mood is already heavy.
It is.
Empress Xiao has decided it's time to leave the safety of the north. She wants to go back to the Central Plains to visit the grave of the late emperor. It's a pilgrimage of grief, really.
That's a perfect way to put it. She's moving backward into her past while everyone else is trying to move forward.
But before she leaves, we get this scene that it totally threw me off. It involves, of all things, toddlers.
Toddlers, yes. It's such a rare moment of lightness for her.
It really is. She's with Luo Cheng's sons, and the text is very specific. It says she's holding them on her knees.
One on each leg, just balancing them.
And she is completely charmed by them. She calls them precious pearls and linked jades. I love that imagery. Linked jades.
It's not just cute kids, is it?
No, it feels like she's marveling at their their quality, like they're rare artifacts.
I think that's a great observation. You have to remember, she's seen everything she knows just crumble.
Her whole world.
Her dynasty, her husband, her status, it's all broken. And here, in a world of chaos, are these two perfect, unblemished little lives. Linked jades implies they're precious, pure, and connected. They're a symbol of a future that she's not really a part of.
She even jokingly asks to release the little dogs into the hall.
So playful.
Release the little dogs for a grieving empress. That's really something.
Well, it serves a narrative purpose. It creates a really sharp contrast between her own sense of loss and this new life springing up around the heroes of the new era.
And that contrast gets even sharper when she talks to the children's mother, Du Shenyang.
Oh, this conversation is fantastic.
So Du Shenyang is this famous warrior princess, right? In earlier parts of the story, she's terrifying. She's leading armies.
A total force of nature.
But Empress Xiao looks at her here and is just confused. She basically says, wait a minute, you used to be scary.
Pretty much, yeah. Xiao remarks on this huge transformation. She recalls that Shenyang used to be defined by strict military discipline.
The text says her presence was inviolable.
Inviolable, meaning you couldn't even approach her without being afraid. She was a weapon. But now she's described as gentle, soft, and lovable.
It's a complete 180. And Xianyang's explanation is fascinating. She doesn't say, oh, I got tired of war.
No.
She credits her husband, Luo Cheng. She says that while she followed her mother's strictness before, Luo Cheng reminded her of a few things.
It's such a human moment. It shows that even these larger-than-life figures are shaped by their relationships. Xianyang is basically admitting she learned how to embrace warmth and respect, alongside her strength. She found a balance.
But here's the kicker, and this is where that soft history just hits so hard. For Empress Xiao, watching this happy transformation, it's not just heartwarming, it's painful.
Because it highlights everything she doesn't have anymore.
Right. She starts crying. She compares their affection, this new little family, to what she had with the late emperor. And she calls herself withered wood and cold ash.
That is such a devastating phrase.
Withered wood. It sounds so final, like you can't unwither wood.
Exactly. It implies that her life force is just gone. While Xianyang is blooming, Xiao feels like she's already burned out.
Right.
She's just debris from a fire that's already gone out.
And that emotional weight hangs over the whole departure. We aren't just moving an army. We are moving a tragedy on wheels.
A very apt description.
And speaking of moving the army, the story switches gears from emotions to tactics almost instantly. Luo Cheng leads the vanguard to escort her, but he's not flying his own flags.
No, it's a ruse. He uses Prince Zhao's flags.
So why do that? Why switch the flags?
It's all about information warfare. By using different banners, they disguise their movement. It looks like a reinforcement for the Tuyuhun, the enemy they're about to fight.
So it confuses any onlookers.
It confuses anyone. If you see Prince Zhao's flags, you assume one thing. If you see Tang flags, you assume another. It's a classic bit of military deception to ensure safe passage while they move toward the conflict zone.
Which brings us perfectly to the hard power section. Because while the Empress is having this emotional crisis and calling herself cold ash,
General Chai Xiao is dealing with a very, very different problem at a place called Five Ants Mountain.
or Mount Wugu.
Yes. And the setting here is so vivid. I love how the source describes it. It talks about layered peaks, gloomy green pines.
And cypress trees that are dancing chaotically in the wind.
Dancing chaotically. It sounds like a haunted forest.
It really does. It creates this spooky, tense atmosphere, like nature itself is hostile.
And the tactical situation for Chai Xiao is genuinely bad.
Oh, it's terrible. The enemy, the Tuyuhun, they have the high ground. They're up in those chaotic trees, raining arrows down on his camp.
So conventional wisdom says you have two options.
You charge them or you run away.
Exactly. You retreat out of range, or you order this desperate charge up the hill to stop the archers. Chai Xiao does neither.
This is where we get into the real strategic brilliance and weirdness of this whole chapter.
This is my absolute favorite part.
He pulls up a chair. The text calls it a hew bed.
Right, a hew bed. It's basically a folding chair. It implies a certain informality. It's not a throne. It's camp furniture. He sits down right in the line of fire and just starts admiring the scenery.
He's just chilling. Arrows are flying, and he's sightseeing. And his soldiers. The text says they don't move a step.
They're catching the arrows with their hands and mouths.
With their mouths.
That detail is so crucial. It's meant to show the supreme discipline and skill of his troops. They're so unbothered that they can literally catch arrows in their teeth. It's a psychological flex.
Hit tells the enemy, your weapons are toys to us. We aren't even scared enough to raise a shield.
It's the ultimate cool guy move. But then it gets even weirder.
He doesn't just sit there. He puts on a show.
He signals for entertainment. He brings out 2 young women, about 17 or 18 years old, and they start playing the pipa, the lute, and singing.
Can you imagine this visual? You're on this misty mountain, arrows are flying, soldiers are catching them in their teeth, and suddenly a concert starts. It's surreal.
And it works. The 2 Yulin soldiers, they stop fighting. They stop shooting. The text says the performance was like overturning rivers and seas and butterflies fluttering. They are completely mesmerized.
They've probably never seen anything like it, especially not in the middle of a war.
No way. And then Xiao escalates. A second pair of girls comes out and does acrobatics, walking on ropes, spectacular stunts.
So the enemy is literally watching the show instead of fighting the war. They just stand there for hours. Now, is this, like, a known tactic, or is Xiao just making this up as he goes?
It's a brilliant application of what's known as the empty fort strategy. It's famous in Chinese military literature. The idea is to present such a calm, open, and seemingly defenseless front.
That the enemy either suspects a trap or, in this case, just gets so distracted they forget what they were doing.
They lose all their aggressive momentum. He uses leisure and art to mask his lethality. It's psychological warfare disguised as a variety show.
But he is preparing an attack. The whole time they're watching the acrobats, the clock is ticking.
He absolutely is. This goes on for several hours until, boom!
A cannon fires.
That's the signal.
And Ludo Cheng's army, the one we saw leaving earlier with the disguised flags, arrives.
They attack from behind. Xiao's audience is now trapped. It's a perfect pincer movement.
And just like that, the party is over. The 2 Yuhun are crushed. It's brutal efficiency hidden behind this beautiful, bizarre performance.
It really demonstrates that warfare in this era wasn't just about brute strength. It was about patience, psychology, and timing. Xiao understood that a curious enemy is a distracted enemy.
And a distracted enemy is a dead enemy. So the battle is won, high fives all around. Xiao and Luo Cheng meet up, and they continue escorting Empress Xiao south. But the story doesn't end with a victory parade. It takes a detour.
To a place called Yuanyang Town, Mandarin Duck Town.
And in Chinese culture, Mandarin ducks represent couples, fidelity.
Which is deeply ironic given what happens next.
Huge irony alert. They stop at an inn. The sign says Zhou Fengshun's Merchant's Inn. And this is where that soft history comes crashing back in.
Empress Xiao is sitting in her sedan chair, and she sees the landlady. And she recognizes her.
It's not just some random woman. It's Yang Piampian, formerly of the Mingxia court.
Let's just pause on that. This is a woman who used to live in the palace with the Empress. They were basically roommates in the most exclusive building in the world.
And now she's counting coins behind a counter in a dusty roadside inn.
I can't even imagine that shock.
You're a fallen empress traveling through a town you've never heard of, and there's someone you used to drink tea with in the royal gardens.
And she's not alone. She's married now. Her husband is Zhou Fengchun, the owner. He's described as a big, burly, former military officer.
And this is where Empress Xiao starts asking about the other ladies from the court. It turns into this tragic roll call. Who else made it out? Who's alive?
That's such a grim accounting. Yang Piampian mentions Fan Furen, another court lady. Lived with her for a while, but
died of illness.
And then there was Zhou Furen.
Right. She married a man named Yu Yang, but she also died within a year or two.
This scene really struck me. We just watched Xiao win this glorious battle with acrobats and cannons. It was exciting. But here, in this inn, we see the reality for the women of the fallen regime. Survival is not a guarantee.
Exactly. For you listening, this is such a stark look at social mobility and decline. In the palace, these women were protected, elite, inviolable, just like Du Shenang was now.
Now they're innkeepers, wives of common soldiers, or they're just dead. The safety net is completely gone.
And let's be honest, for these court ladies, marrying a burly officer, an innkeeper, was probably a survival strategy, wasn't it?
Absolutely. In a time of chaos, having a protector was essential. Yang Piampian survived because she adapted. She became a merchant's wife. She did what she had to do.
But for Empress Xiao, seeing this is just devastating. It breaks the illusion that the past can be preserved.
The contrast is just palpable. Empress Xiao holds Yang Piampian's hand and says she thought she'd only see her again in a dream. It's like seeing a ghost, but the ghost is alive and wiping down tables.
And that emotional shock has physical consequences. This isn't just sadness, it's trauma.
The body keeps the score.
Yeah. Let's talk about the aftermath, because Empress Xiao doesn't just brush this off, order some noodles, and go to bed.
No. That night, the text says she starts burning like hot charcoal. She falls ill. Immediately.
All that grief, the memories, the shock, it manifests as a physical fever.
She's bedridden for 2 days with chest congestion, completely incapacitated.
Now, here is where the story takes a turn that I found really unsettling. Xiao, the hero of the hour, the guy who just pulled off that genius move at the mountain, he sees that the Empress is sick. He knows he's supposed to be escorting her, but he doesn't stay.
This is the final crucial piece of the puzzle. While they're at the inn, Xiao gets intelligence. He hears there's discord back at the capital.
And his reaction is immediate. He's got to go.
He fears suspicion. The text is very, very clear about this. He worries that if he lingers too long out in the provinces, even with the former Empress, the court might start to doubt his loyalty.
Wait, let's unpack that. He thinks the emperor might wonder if he's plotting something with the remnants of the old dynasty.
Exactly that. Or simply that he's building his own power base. In these times of transition, a general with a winning army and a connection to the old royal family, that's a very dangerous recipe.
That is wild to me. He just won a massive victory for the new dynasty. He's a hero, but he's terrified of his own side.
That's the nature of these periods. Political survival is often more precarious than survival on the battlefield. You can catch arrows with your teeth, but you can't catch a rumor at court.
So he decides he can't wait for her to recover.
He can't. He leaves her with Luo Cheng and rushes back to report his victory and the Empress's movements to the emperor. He has to control the narrative before someone else does.
So the group just splits. Xiao runs back to the capital to save his own skin. Luo Cheng stays behind. And the Empress is left burning with fever in a roadside inn.